Welcome to We Are Augusta. Have you ever checked your bank account and thought, gosh, I know I make good money, so why doesn't it feel like it? You're not alone. Today we're tracing where money quietly slips away and how to gently reel it back in without making life smaller. I am Arrin Simpson, joined by fellow financial advisors Blaire Simmons, Jennifer Bennett, and Marti Bryant.
Thanks, Arrin. Such an important topic for us to discuss today. Where are we leaking money? Where are you leaking money? How big is this so-called leak? And how do we work together to seal the gap?
It's appropriate for us to have this conversation right now. And I'm going to share my little leaky story here in a minute.
About money?
Not yours?
No, about leaking about money.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The leaking money story. And I think it goes hand in hand with technology and instant gratification, the society we are now,
Yes.
where we've progressed, which I don't know if this is such a great progression. This summer, when I moved out to Tennessee to start opening up some new offices, I was by myself. I'm all alone, and I didn't even have my dog yet, and so I'm at my house and I'm bored. So I'm on my phone. I've never played an online game before, never. And I found one, and I'm addicted to it. I'm not going to lie.
And you're good at it.
And it's hysterical. It's a zombie apocalypse game, and I have this tank and whatever. But in order for me to build my base, I could have either done the free play, which took a lot of time, or I could just buy some wrenches to build my tank. I could buy some clothes to dress my heroes so they're more powerful. Next thing I know, I have a spending problem with this game because all I have to do is say, I want to buy those diamonds, double click on my Apple card that's on my phone. And next thing I have a 244 million point base that I've created. So that's kind of how I think we started this topic, was talking about, I can't believe how much money I spent on a game. And then you have to look around. Where else am I leaking this money without even realizing it? Right?
Social media, I mean, if we think about the way it's designed and how social media companies make money, it's with advertising space. And that's not effective unless people are buying things. So that's a slippery slope for me personally. I know, because they're so good at targeting you, right? They know,
Right.
It's like they can actually read your mind. They know what you want, what you're interested in, and you scroll a little bit further and you're going to see an advertisement really soon with something that's very appealing to you personally. And then you can save your credit card information on your phone, click, 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 boom, it's on its way. It's shipped. It's already shipped.
And like you said, it's like they're spying, but Siri and Alexa are listening.
Right.
Literally.
Are you listening? I think they are. It's creepy.
I had an opportunity in college to study abroad, lived there with a native family, a non-English speaking family, attended a non-speaking university, non-English speaking, non-speaking, we are all miming, and attended a non-English speaking university, but you get the point. Here in America, we kind of, when you go somewhere else, you think you might be able to say a few things in English, but going to Argentina and being fully immersed in their culture, that was not the case. And a few things that I learned about myself and where I had been leaking previously is something as simple as like clothing and going to the mall and staying in style and with the trends. But after living in Argentina for several months out of my suitcase, I became a little disgusted with the consumerism here in America. And it really changed my outlook on what were my necessities and what was I just kind of wanting. And then getting to the bottom of why am I wanting these things? Another thing I think of is in college as a student athlete, I did have many small jobs. And my mother and father, however, they really, trusted me. At that point, I guess I had proven myself enough for them to put a year's worth of rent in my bank account and say, hey, over the next 12 months, this is what these funds are for,
That's a
essentially.
great test.
Spend
great.
wisely.
Yeah.
And I didn't touch any of them. I didn't touch the funds. I was able to utilize the money that I earned during that time instead. And since I didn't touch those funds, it opened other doors and opportunities. So again, boundaries are actually doors with intentional opening and closing hours. And so I was able to use those to later invest. By that discipline, I created an opportunity for me to force myself to save and invest those dollars that were then being earned because I had that quote unquote emergency fund. And that's one of the topics we talk about with our clients, to make sure you have your reserves. And having that discipline in those reserves enables you to take on more risk and invest.
And so while we're here saying, okay, let's pause and again, maybe just become conscious of what we're doing and sharing the experiences either through ourselves or through our clients. How do we stop that almost subconscious of just going, hey, you know what? It's easy to pop in here. It's entertainment. I make good money. I should be able to afford or treat myself. So again, how do we?
Or even and so this is something I'm guilty of, and still even now, sometimes I just don't want to leave my house, and I certainly don't want to go to a grocery store. So I pop up on my phone and Instacart. Right. So now I'm ordering my groceries, and as already knows, it saves my normal orders. And I'm scrolling through, I'm ordering. And then I know, okay, it's a $3 service fee. What's $3? Oh, yeah. And I'm going to tip them 20%. And, if it's for another $5, I can have them come immediately to my house. So then you start justifying, well, it's only $3. Oh, it's only $5. And,
later,
somebody's doing a service for me. And if I was going out to eat, I'm going to tip them. So I'm going to tip this person as well. And then next thing you know, this slippery slope has turned into a mudslide. And if you truly go back and you look at your spending habits, which is the worst thing that we ever want to do. We don't want to write a budget. We don't want to look at our spending habits because we're going to throw up when we look and see that I just wasted $1,000 or $500 on things that I could have just gone and done myself, but I didn't feel like leaving the house because I don't have to, right?
And that access is what we're trying to behaviorally help you with, something that you made me think of is in Argentina, and what you said about social media and the access and the advertisements. Well, I didn't have that issue in Argentina because I had to go to an internet shop to get on the internet.
Yes.
There was no internet at the house or my phone. That wasn't a relevant thing. So I think that access, we're all kind of what's the word I'm looking for? We're enticed by on a daily basis every time we pick up our phone.
Right. Yeah. I remember shops and stores and restaurants would close early in England. And I was so appalled by that. Like, what am I supposed to do after work? I'm supposed to go and that's my time.
Or in Argentina when they shut down everything for siesta midday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you go, wait, again, like, we're all proud Americans. There's no doubt about that. With that said, boy, we can learn a lot and take into account. Because in England, when I would ask, like, why do you close so early? Like, once I get off work, that's when I do the shopping. And they say, we want people to go and have time with their own families.
Really?
I mean, what? That's foreign.
Yeah.
Don't you need to
just
be back
order
at work?
DoorDash for them.
Right.
Look.
Right. Although I wish I had DoorDash and that kind of thing back when my mom had cancer and I was living overseas, and I would have just given anything to be able to send her groceries and her food.
Right.
So while, priorities from that standpoint. So it's not all bad.
No.
But it's that
Rein it in.
awareness.
Balance.
Right? Rein it in.
You gotta rein it in. And I'm speaking about myself. So although I work in the wealth management industry, it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I am not perfect.
What?
Wait,
what?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Arrin.
I'm going to need a moment, folks.
Yeah, I'll hold you later.
Okay.
We'll hug it out.
Hug it out.
But no one's immune. And there's one word, I'll say one word, Amazon. Most egregious. How many times do you guys have packages just show up and you don't even remember what you ordered?
You know what? I actually took it off my phone a couple of years ago.
You did?
Yeah, because I would be on it for so long, and then you'd put all this stuff in your cart or whatever basket or whatever it's called, and then you go and you look at your list, and then you can save some of it for later.
Right.
But then you could change your mind, and I'd hold off because I'd be like, "Whoa, that's a lot," and then I'd go back in, and eventually I'd get frustrated enough with that process that I'd just do away with all of that. I wouldn't buy anything. And so then I'm like, well, I just wasted like, how many hours was that? It was probably 5 hours over the course of a week that I was going to buy something, or a couple shirts, or cosmetics, or you can obviously buy anything on there. But those were the things that kind of caught my attention. And I eventually was like, this is too
And
much.
time is money.
Yeah, exactly. I could have been playing with my kids. This is when they were little. And
whereas I buy the cart.
Right. Same.
Right?
And it's such a dopamine hit.
It is.
Right? Social media and getting, you know, and doing the game. And I mean, I have a small son who's 9, and bonding with him. We got into sport cards and collecting different, you know, I don't know, just LeBron James cards and everything else. Right. And I kind of got into it. It was a lot of fun. But when you buy something, there's that dopamine hit that comes.
you feel it.
And you feel it. So, you know, not that I
goes
blame
away.
him.
And you buy another one.
And then you buy another one. You got it.
Oh my gosh,
Wears
that's so
off.
cool.
Yeah.
So cool. And then you try to win a card on eBay or something. So we're all victims of it, no matter the industry.
So I'm curious then, what are some of your methods to rein it in? I mean, for me, I try to remind myself of the percentage of cash flow that should be going towards X, Y, and Z. Savings, fixed expenses, discretionary. What are some things that you guys do to help with that?
Oh, okay. So I hate the word budget. Please don't. I know.
I said
It's
it
like
a
a
minute
diet.
ago.
You did. And I almost, I got a little queasy. But I feel like a budget is a 4-letter word to a lot of people. And so, again, it comes back to, if I pay myself first, I know that X amount is going to my investments and my savings, etc. Once I get my emergency savings to an amount, I don't need to keep going because that isn't working for me. Right? So emergency savings up to a certain amount, and then reallocate those funds. But I will say that once I do that, and then anything cush or left over, I might have some fun with, right? And I don't want to feel guilty about that. If I've worked all week, I mean, gosh, as women, we wear all the hats. So I don't have an issue with allocating a certain amount to the eBay with Sam, or I don't have an issue with going, I don't want to cook tonight. I don't want to think for a second about what the heck I'm going to cook. Right? So, and I'm not a good cook. So no one wins there. So that's how I do it for me personally. And I will encourage clients, if you're paying yourself first, you can have a little bit more peace of mind. But again, it goes back to what you said. And I love that, is look every month or every week or a few times a month at what you're actually spending, because it sneaks up on you so quickly.
Be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when we sit down to do the financial planning, or just in our very first meetings and we're doing a discovery, right? We're asking the clients the questions, you know, how much money do you have here and here, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so now we know how much money you're making, how much you've allocated into your 401k plan, how much money is sitting in your checking account, how much is in emergency funds. And then I ask, and how much are you spending each month? Oh, $3,000. No. You're not spending $3,000. We probably need to double that. Well, no, I'm not. And they'll look and they'll say, well, how can you say that? I said, because you just shared with me how much money you have. Now I know how much money you're spending.
Exactly.
So let's be honest about it. Let's have that hard conversation.
Yeah. It's like, well, where's the rest of it then? Did you just start making this salary this year or last year? Probably not.
Where's your
am
money
I
going
wrong?
then?
Yeah.
Am I wrong that sometimes when you assign that homework of cash flow or budget tracking, you never hear back from them?
Yes.
It's the easiest way to get a deer in the headlights look from a client is you ask them what their monthly
Or a
living
no-show
expenses are.
to the appointment.
Oh.
Yeah. We used to do this early on in my career, where I'd make an appointment with someone and we would send out like, here's your homework before our meeting so I can use our time wisely. And I would ask, like, okay, fill this out, the budget, the finances, the credit card bills, what's the payment, what's the interest rate? And that, I realize, scares people completely off.
Right.
And rightly so. Like, that was a lot to ask of people early on in my career. And now it's like, let's just have the conversation. We're all human. We're approachable. We get it. We're all in the same boat. Let's grow it together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need to know how to plan so that your lifestyle doesn't have to change in retirement. We need to know how much you're spending. It's super important.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you guys, when we were talking about the online spending and everything, it reminded me of something that a self-observation that I made years ago. And I don't know if you ladies have had the same experience, but I know when I was younger and I would go to the mall. And I went from being broke, poor, young, not having any of my own money to spend to finally having some money to spend. And I know when I didn't have that money to spend when I was at the mall, all the outfit looked so cute. All the cosmetics look so pretty. And then once I had that hard-earned cash in my wallet, I didn't really want anything that much
You're
anymore.
a little pickier.
Right.
And you might like a few things, but just nothing ever looked that good when you were shopping and you had that money. But when you didn't have the money, you wanted it more. Isn't that crazy?
So this is going to be another show that we do. But what you just, so I have another saying, I have a lot. So my saying is, unearned money, unearned assets come with no respect. Right? So like inheritance and things like that. And that's exactly, you just proved that point because you earned that money.
Yep.
Right? And now you're going to want to treat it with respect. I don't want to just go blow it. Yeah. But if you had inherited that asset, I can almost guarantee you that you would have bought all the outfits and you would have bought all the makeup because it's a different mindset. Right?
Unless you have a financial advisor you're working with.
Yeah. Give the purpose.
Help save you from yourself.
Right. Well, but still, we're still human.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's like the plumber that has the leaky pipes, the roofer has the leaky roof.
Yeah. Or
right. I have a leaky wallet sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just human.
It is.
And it's the technology and the age that we're in.
We'll be right back to talk about how to save you from leaking money.
Have you ever ignored a small expense, but only to see it snowball over time? How can our listeners avoid that?
So I see advertisements for different apps that help you find recurring charges and subscriptions and things we might not even know that we have.
We've had several.
Right.
Like maybe we have 2 Netflix accounts.
Oh.
Right. I'm not even kidding. We've used apps like this.
Yeah.
And right before buying a home or, something like that, and they scrub your report. So yeah, Marti, I love that. And you might not know that you are still subscribed.
Right.
Or there's more than one of the same darn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking the time to go through and seeing everything you're subscribed to. The car wash. Do you go to the car wash enough to still have that subscription, or should you just go once a month like you do and you're saving money? So I think, like you said, we just get used to everything coming out. So I recommend scrubbing your credit cards, your debit cards, and figuring out what all am I signed up for again? And am I using these things?
Yeah. Like the tanning salon and the gym that you never go to.
Who tans anymore, Marti? Let's talk about skin
Not
care.
necessarily tan mom, but
But okay.
I mean, this is Arizona, but people still go to the people still tan.
Cracks me up. Yeah.
I mean, and I fully admit I have a subscription to a tanning place in Tennessee.
The spray tan?
No, it's everything, but it also has like some machines that has the red light therapy and stuff like that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
No,
and
it
I mean,
doesn't,
like,
but
I
still.
tease, but I think it's interesting where I think, gosh, I haven't been spending a lot, right? Like I'm trying to be frugal and I'm proud of myself. And then the next thing I know, hair. I mean, guys,
Fingernails.
well, not for
Not
me,
you,
but I'm not gonna lie, like my Botox, I'd rather go without probably toilet paper than have no Botox. I'm not gonna lie, like that's for me.
Mine
But-
wore out. I had an appointment, but I came in too late.
But those are things that sneak up on you, right? And it's important to factor that in and be aware. And I will say with some of the online apps that help, I think, Marty, that they might be free for the first month.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then,
But then and you forget to cancel
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And then it gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, Arrin, like with you mentioning Botox, and we had a little laugh about it, but if that's important to you,
exactly,
don't cut it out. If you like to go and get your hair, your nails, your whatever it is that you do, as long as it adds value in your life, I think it's about cutting the things that are no longer adding value. You forgot you had that subscription and you're not even using it.
Yeah.
That's when you want to.
Well, in hopes of not going off on a tangent too far, but still connected, I can't help but wonder, Marty, you started actually in the beginning, is that progress that we've made from generations. And perhaps this isn't the best progress right now, because if I think about when I have older clients who have done so well and they've worked blue collar, hard jobs, and now they're comfortable and wealthy, right? They're not just comfortable, but they're good. And I'll ask them, like, how did you do this? Like, who taught you? Or where did this come from? And they would say things like, I knew we had to save a certain amount, and we would do without. Or if, we lived, it's an old cliche, right? Like, we lived within our means. And now, like, gosh, eyelashes and hair and all the things, but where else are we just living in the moment too much, perhaps? Because there's something to be said about the struggle, right? The struggle makes you value things.
Well, I think since society has changed so much, technology has changed, even what we see on TV has changed, right? We are desensitized. There are things on TV, explicit things that we would not have seen when I was a kid. And where that sudden shift, it made it acceptable, or people feel entitled to certain items. We see the people walking around with designer bags or fake designer bags, but everybody has this sense of I want, and I'm going to get it, and I don't care who I have to step on or step over. I'm entitled to have X or Y, even without earning. And that's why we also see so much credit card debt, because people don't stop spending. They continue to spend and go into further and further debt, just to have meaningless, materialistic items. The generations that you're talking about, they weren't materialistic. Our greatest generation is dying off right now. And they didn't have, I was taught to save things. So in my garage, I don't go so far as to save the ties on my bread.
We would just like to clarify, Marty is not considered a hoarder.
Technically, no. Because I do, maybe shoes. I don't know. I'm not sure.
We all have a thing.
That's why I have my foot OnlyFans account. Anyway, but even in the garage, right? I've got little Ziploc bags or glass jars that have different screws and nuts and bolts and nails in, because you just save things. One day you're going to need it. And sure as heck, there's a day when you have that odd size screw that you need and it's there. But, and I've said this a few times already, we are disposable. Everybody wants to throw away their phone. That it doesn't work anymore. I get another one. I dial up Amazon. I've got
the new car.
All of that is those little tiny leaks that you're having.
Yes.
Right? Your car insurance. When's the last time you actually did a deep dive into how much you're paying on your car insurance? Should you bundle and save? All of that, but it's reality. Where can you save money?
Yeah. And maybe we don't need the newest car or the newest phone. And if we do, why? Right? And why, if something is valuable or adds value to your life, then what else can we maybe cut back on?
But can you truly afford it? That's the biggest question. Can you afford it? Right? So when people buy cars, the easiest way to sell a person a car is to back into the car payment that they're comfortable with. And they're not going to care how many years they're paying for that car payment.
Yeah.
People are financing vehicles for 8 years. What cars are going to last 8 years?
And then what happens at the end of that loan?
You got a depreciated asset is what you've gotten. So if you're buying it brand spanking new, would you truly have this $100,000 vehicle with a 30% depreciation, or even 10, let's call it a 10% depreciation as soon as you drive it off the lot? Would you really take $10,000 and throw it in the garbage?
Right. Right.
That's in essence what you're doing, right? So those are little areas that you can look at leaks in. Or if you don't pay off your car and then you roll that into your next loan,
Right.
there's more. Now you're paying more interest on a car you don't even have.
Upside down.
Upside down. So it's all of these little, change your train of thought, change your mindset, because all of these little details matter. We talked about compounding,
Yeah.
right? You're
They
further
compound.
compounding. And most likely your credit had gone down because you're upside down in a vehicle. You don't have that vehicle anymore because it's broken down. You probably don't have great credit because other things are taking a hit.
Right.
And you're going to roll that into the next vehicle. You're going to have to pay a higher interest rate.
Yeah. It's a terrible cycle we need to avoid.
One of the areas I've seen with my clients repeatedly as a different source of money leak is, I'll say, gifting money to their adult children. And
Gosh,
it
great
becomes that behavioral pattern, that habit where maybe I had one client who paid for all of their grandchildren to go to private school from kindergarten through 12th grade. Or I had a client one time who, next time we spoke, the update was they had given a pretty good chunk of their savings, their cash savings, to their adult son to help him start a business. And they were already retired, right? And I've seen similar stories play out in real life with real people over and over again. So it's whatever form that takes, but it's gifting money to their children where their children might be in their 40s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. Right. I mean, adults who should be self-sustaining and independent. And
what do you recommend to them?
Don't do it
at all. Do you go cold turkey like that, or?
And I think not. I wouldn't say at all. If a grandparent wants to pay for the private schooling of their granddaughter, you know what? Let them chip, as long as they are aware of their financial situation and they are not jeopardizing themselves. If they are able to make that contribution and their children can be responsible and make ethical decisions with that gift and be appreciative, I think it's okay. But I think what you're describing is when, the latter is true.
Yeah.
And they're sacrificing their retirement to help
Right.
their struggling child.
Exactly.
And again, I'm going to come back to, where we are as a society. I know kids are graduating from college and they might have a bleak outlook as far as the job market is concerned. Where are they getting their jobs? Kids are staying at home longer. Yeah. Yeah. Kids are staying at home longer with their parents. They're not doing the normal things at the normal ages that we used to do them at.
The normal is changing.
Yes. Yeah.
Not in a good way.
Kids are scared. Maybe they can't afford to buy a house. So
That's
many
tough, too.
things have changed, and it's been a slow burn. And I feel like for me personally, when I woke up one day, I was just like, what the hell just happened here? The country has changed, the world has changed, and not necessarily for the better. And so for these parents that are continuing to keep their kids on payroll, is what I call
exactly,
it, right?
same.
They're still on payroll. They're sacrificing their ability to retire.
Absolutely.
And I know all of us see this. We see more and more grandparents raising their grandchildren
Yeah.
than ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that brings me to something, there's when we hear parents who want to help with college education expenses and funding that before they're doing enough for their own retirement. And the conversation being, well, just like the flight attendant says, put your own mask on first. You have to help yourself before you can help them, because if you're funding their education, which, by the way, they can go take a student loan, you cannot take a loan for retirement.
Exactly.
And so, it's just going to come back full circle, and, there's not going to be that opportunity you're hoping that you're sending them to college and then they're going to help fund your retirement. But we see that it doesn't always work that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Call me crazy.
Crazy.
Thank you.
She asked.
Okay, Jen, don't call me crazy. Thank you. But in reality, and this is more of a question and thinking out loud, is there some beauty in the struggle? Because the common denominator in a lot of our older clients is that they struggled in one way or another.
Right.
And I remember listening to this one podcast that I love. The gentleman that runs the podcast, he's a psychologist for extreme and very high producing athletes, pro athletes, etc. He tells the story. I'm going to not do it as well as he did, of course, but he tells the story about how he'd worked with this NFL player for years and he got to know him really well. The psychologist and his son are out at a mall, right, as you do on a weekend. And he runs into the NFL player and he says, "Hey, it's so good to see you. How is your son doing?" And the NFL player says, "Well, gosh, my kids are great. You know, they've got the best schools, they've got the best shoes, they've got the best equipment for their sports. But the one thing I can't give them, which I had, is the struggle." And maybe while our parents and maybe ourselves in some way have struggled, maybe we need to not put the negative spin on that,
Yeah,
but maybe you see the beauty in that.
absolutely.
But they can have the struggle.
Yeah,
Don't give.
Right.
Don't give the
Create
way you
it.
do. Make
Give
them
that.
get a job.
Exactly.
Have them
Before
learn
giving,
the value of a dollar.
Make them learn the value.
Right.
yeah.
So that then you can trust their ability of what they're going to do.
Right.
with
Like
it. Yeah.
Jen, it changed for you when you earned money. You're like, whoa, I really don't want that shirt now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oof, that's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
It's interesting because
Oh, I have a great story for that.
Go on.
I would say it's interesting because there's a name for or a term that's used to describe the inability for generational wealth to endure, because in even the extremely rich families, the Vanderbilts, the help me out here, the Biltmores, the
Rockefellers, that's what I
Rockefellers,
was trying to
Rockefellers,
think
same.
of.
yeah, generational wealth goes away after about 3 or 4 generations at most. By the 5th generation, it's completely gone.
But not the Rockefellers.
Not the Rockefellers, they're different. And that's what makes this whole thing interesting, because what is it that they did differently? Yeah. Also, it's teaching their children young about the economy, about running businesses and things of that nature. But it's just the pattern there is that the struggle goes away with the generation that inherits the silver spoon. And so it's called the shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves phenomenon. You can look it up. And it's fascinating because time and culture, it doesn't matter where you're from or when this has happened throughout history, that generational wealth does not endure, because when you're born with that silver spoon, you didn't have to work for it. And you just spend it away, you party it away, and before you know it, it's gone.
Well, and that's where a trust can also come into
Ooh, I
play.
was
And
just
we
thinking
are
that.
going to talk about that at a
Yeah.
different time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you can control your assets from the grave.
Yeah.
Words out of my mouth.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Blaire?
At 18 or so, very young. I thought it was a great idea to go, my friend, a couple of friends of mine, we decided to, that was back in the day when you could get a round trip ticket for like $70, So we decided to go visit our friend who was going to school in Atlanta and go to Miami Beach. Kind of, on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had our annual family vacations, that was something that my parents splurged on once a year. We would have that family vacation with the 4 of us. And so this was my first vacation without my family.
Right.
And so I'll never forget. We went to, well, first of all, we tried to check into Motel 8 and they were like, well, you can't check in without someone over the age of 21. We got around that. But
We got around that.
They went to Motel 6.
but second, then we went to lunch. Okay. We took the bus went to lunch. This is before Uber and all of that was so
Mhm.
prevalent. I don't think it existed actually.
Yeah.
Taxis. So yeah, I remember watching the taxi figure keep climbing, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right.
it's getting expensive already. And then we sit down and we eat. And I ordered dessert, yeah, I want dessert too. And then the bill came. And I remember thinking, oh shoot, like how much money do I have in my wallet?
Mhm.
I'm like, oh gosh, maybe I shouldn't have gotten dessert, because I was so used to, okay, this idea of we are on vacation and, my dad being there.
Right.
And it was the
Oh.
first time that I was like, oh, like I'm paying for this.
Right.
My friend
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I was wondering what you were doing. I'm just
But
like,
you
"Yeah."
know,
And it's silly because it's not that we were irresponsible, but it's like, it's just a reality check.
it is.
Yeah.
You had taken it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it so much for so many
And it
reasons.
wasn't a fancy restaurant.
Right.
Like this is just,
It was like McDonald's. I want the hot apple pie too.
burgers, fries, and a sundae
Yeah.
with fudge.
Yeah.
This wasn't anything special.
But if you take it to adult land, right, it does bring up the question in my head of going, all right, wait a second. When I go out to dinner, and maybe it's too often, I don't know, right? Like it's all within our own range and our own say. But do I need to order that drink or cocktail at dinner? Marty would say yes, that I do. And I deserve that. No, but in reality, when you get the bill, you go, oh, wait, I can make that
Yes.
vodka soda at home for so much cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's that moment, it's that experience, right? Everything's an experience, but does it need to be? Maybe I should have gotten water.
It's interesting too, because in conversations with clients, some folks will say, maybe I should eat out less. That's often a go-to for folks to say, oh, maybe I should cut back. And, preparing for retirement, we're probably not going to eat out as much because they're planning on that reduced lifestyle, which is obviously not the thing. But interesting, because some people do go out probably a lot more than others. Some folks might go out once a month or a couple times a year. I've heard as low as a couple times a year, people who hardly ever go out. And I've had other clients who go out to eat 5, 6 days a week, sometimes every night.
Much more convenient.
It's much more convenient. It's also less lonely, as we talked earlier about aging and the longevity topic. That's kind of coming back into my mind as to when it can be lonely to stay at home all the time and never, you got to go out. So it's finding the balance that works best for you.
And maybe if you go out, have one cocktail and not two. Maybe, but something to think about.
Yeah.
So thank you for being with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, friends. On this topic, is there anything that we haven't covered that comes to mind?
So one thing for me is inheritance. That's kind of what pops in. And hang with me on this though, okay? So I had a gentleman, he booked an appointment, came into the office, sits down, we're having our initial conversation, I'm doing discovery, and he really doesn't have any assets. He doesn't own his home. He lives with his mom. He has a job, but he doesn't save any money. And I said, so then how do you see us being able to help you? Where do you see us fitting in?
What's an age frame on here?
And he said, well, when my mom passes away, I'm going to have some inheritance. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Is your mother sick? No. And I said, what do you, she's not sick, but you want to talk about a potential inheritance that you're going to have. And he says, yeah, well, she's getting older and I'm not sure how longer she's going to live. And I'm expecting maybe about $250,000 to $300,000. And I'm shaking my head at him too. I'm completely and thoroughly disgusted at this human being coming in ready to kill off his mother.
I know, right?
And I let him know, I said, sir, we are not a good fit. And we're going to have to end this conversation here, and I'm going to have to ask you to leave. So people who are planning on inheriting money need to stop. Yeah. His mother has every right to spend every last penny of those assets. And my expectation, I mean, there's a part of me that kind of felt like calling Adult Protective Services to go do a
Okay.
wellness
Right,
check
right.
to see what kind of living condition she's in at that
And
point
Keith
in time.
Morrison from Dateline.
Right. And Keith Morrison, yeah. Or did he?
Or did he?
So
I mean, she has every right to disinherit him, frankly. She doesn't have to name him as a beneficiary or
Right.
list him in her trust or whatever she
or
has.
anything.
Maybe she didn't.
Anything, right?
Hopefully she gets word and figures that out. I mean, that's kind of where your mind goes, right?
course.
People like that. It's
Of course.
horrible.
So don't plan on an inheritance because we're not going to plan on that for you.
No.
That's
And-
not
and
that's not saving. That's not planning for retirement. I'm planning on somebody to die so I can get some money.
right.
And who's to say that long-term care expenses won't wipe that
Thank you. That's where I
exactly-
was going.
that's exactly
Blaire.
what I was getting
Perfect.
at.
Yeah.
She has-
anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 a month currently in today's dollars.
Yeah, my I have an aunt that just passed away in August, and she was 83 years old, and she ended up in a memory care, and she had a long-term care policy that they don't do anymore. It was unlimited benefits.
Yeah.
Unlimited. $538,000 in less than 4 years
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
is what that policy ended up paying out.
I love that you were able to put a number to that.
Uh-huh.
And this isn't a long-term care conversation, but there are very few companies still offering long-term care insurance because not a single one is making a profit.
Yep.
They're all in the negative because we're living longer while ill. So
Yeah.
I can think of some inheritance situations too, where, you have that 19-year-old male, in college that just inherited, this amount from his father's 401k unexpectedly, an early death in their 50s, this amount from the life insurance policy, and scattered assets. And then you have that 19-year-old guy going out and buying that brand new Porsche in cash, mind you. For instance, and the surviving spouse, if they're in the picture, maybe not feeling like they have a place to say anything because that child just lost their parent, and not having the voice or the strength to really, stop the emotional spending.
Yeah, I saw when I was living in Flagstaff, I was at a coffee shop getting some coffee. And this kid came rolling in, brand new black Escalade, gorgeous vehicle. He's decked out. He's got the cool clothes on. He's in his, early 30s or so. I'm thinking, this kid's successful. I'm going to talk to him. I want to know what he did. So, he's standing in line behind me, and I asked him, I said, hey, I love the Escalade. You're really well put together. What do you do for work? He's like, oh no, that's somebody passed away, and he inherited this money. And it's somebody who would never have spent $100 on a pair of jeans, would never have bought a brand new car, would never. So he just went out and he blew all this money on completely disposable items and didn't save it.
The killer to that is same thing with the gentleman that, purchased the Porsche, is that it draws the wrong crowd.
Right.
And then when that money's out,
gone.
you have no one.
Wait until he has to do the first oil change on that car, because it's going to be $1,000 just to drive it in for an oil change because you don't know what else they're going to find.
Yeah.
Minimum $1,000.
And then the irony is that the person who had accumulated and maintained that money for so long before passing it on, that person was probably in the mindset of, I don't want to spend this money because what if?
Yeah.
So then, like, on one hand, you see the retirees who live that what if lifestyle, staying at home, holding back, not doing the things they want because this money is there for them to spend, but they don't see it that way. They see it as this what if lifestyle, and then they pass it on to the kids who then live their life.
Yeah.
That's not a financial plan. That's not a retirement plan.
No.
At all.
That makes me think of one other story that there was, a young lady, and, I won't even name the profession because that, could potentially give an idea, but
Is there a poll involved?
Well, no.
It wasn't the world's oldest
right.
profession.
Hey,
No.
they can make good money.
Oh,
okay?
no. And
This is judgment-free.
I've worked with enough residents to say she was a resident physician.
Okay.
And, no money when I was working with her. And until father unexpectedly passed away prematurely. Father had not been saving into 401k or any retirement vehicle because he knew that when his parents passed, he was receiving multi-millions.
Oh.
And he unexpectedly passed away. So my client, with no money, all of a sudden had a lot of money in her bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I think the amazing thing is that she and her husband were amazingly responsible with the choices they made thereafter. But a big part of that was the control from the grave. And so they continued that philanthropy that was so important to her grandparents
Yeah.
and just maintained their same resident lifestyle while, because you're making below minimum wage in residency in relation to the hours that you're working. And so, there are some good examples,
Right.
But like you
Yeah,
said,
I mean, we have been dwelling a lot on the negative.
There's some good.
There is
some really
good.
good.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blaire,
Mhm.
I know you like this one. There's something called lifestyle creep.
Oh, yes.
How do you deal with that if somebody does inherit a significant amount or even just any kind of money? Like,
Can you explain that, what it is, though?
Enough to make a difference.
Yeah, well, lifestyle creep, the way I view it is all of a sudden we've gotten, an exponential raise. The easiest transition is from resident physician to attending physician, 50,000 a year to $500,000 a year, depending on the specialty, of course. But that's a good example of all of a sudden, the lifestyle creep sets in. You're purchasing that brand new home, and then you have this huge home that, there's just one of you, right? And then you're furnishing that whole home. And before you know it, you're in a paycheck to paycheck cycle before you even made the percentage allocated to your 401k and other necessities that you need to be aware of. So it just goes back to that save first, spend later mentality. And, before you have that paycheck, mapping out what that needs to look like and understanding what is that portion of discretionary assets left over, cash flow left over, that is acceptable to be spending responsibly. Because you've worked hard, regardless of the profession. We're not trying to say don't spend, and take away all the fun. That's not realistic either.
Right.
But having the wherewithal to make sure that first and foremost, you are doing what you need to be doing, saving the right percentage. And then, like we had talked about earlier, having that freedom and, clarity, but what's the word I'm looking for? No shame in that spending that you do.
Guilt.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here with us today. We'll be right back to continue the conversation of how you can stop leaking money. Stay with us.
Welcome back to our discussion about leaking money. Question. Do any of you have some additional suggestions that people could employ or deploy to stop leaking money?
I like to use a 24-hour pause as somewhat of a rule to push the pause button before you actually go through with a purchase. You can do it in a couple of different ways. Maybe it's a certain dollar threshold, or for me personally, I know I'm not going to make any online purchases unless I wait at least a day. Sometimes wait a couple days, just because I want to make sure it's something I actually want and I wasn't just feeling the dopamine at that moment. Because they're just magical at how good they are at enticing you with the things they know you want. If you're scrolling through social media and you find that thing that looks so pretty at the time, but then you realize you don't really want it or need it. So I think 24 hours is kind of like almost a minimum. I mean, sometimes I've waited a week before I bought something, and oftentimes I'll go back in and decide I don't want that thing anyways.
One other thing I would add to that list, or that action item, I suppose, would be once a year. can you, and you probably can, increase your 401k contribution percentage, right? You got a raise, perhaps, take 1%, put it back into that 401k.
Big time.
Pay that
Love
future
that.
self.
And sometimes it's about if we're buying a new article of clothing, something easy, saying, well, what don't I wear in my closet anymore? Can I give something away, to fill that space? Not necessarily fill the space, but before buying more, let's evaluate what's already in the closet. Is there anything I haven't worn in 10 years?
Sometimes I like to go shopping in the closet because it's so new, right? Like,
That tells us
If
a lot about your closet.
okay, so listen. No, like sometimes I just forgot that it was in there, and then I'm either needing to get rid of it or, But yeah, I can feel the judgment, and that's okay. But I would say maybe check your own closet first before going shopping.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you're organized.
Of course, color coordinated, Jen.
I would expect no less from you.
Stop.
I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
you're fibbing.
Yeah. Speaking of shopping, I want to share a quote that I saw. Sometimes when you see something that sticks, I might screenshot it. And this feels like an appropriate time to share. But it says, status is what you show. Freedom is what you keep. We chase what looks impressive, but the math tells a different story. So freedom, you might not be able to put a price on that, but damn, that's powerful. Don't chase the status.
Right.
So when you're ready to click buy or get your grocery cart and start pacing the aisles, maybe ask yourself what adds value to your life. And that's going to be the most important and personal decision for you is, do you want that thing now, or do you think you will want it all of next week or next year or beyond, whatever it is? Just make sure that it's adding value in your life.
You know what? Let me add to that real quick because I actually love that. And it was used on me over the weekend, and I'm not offended. But okay, the World Cup's coming next year to the US, right? And I'm in Dallas, and I'm really excited about the World Cup.
Obviously you're going, right? Like,
I hope so. That's the plan.
Multiple
Otherwise, World
times.
Cup parties at the house. But FIFA, so the Federation of, soccer and all that, or football, as it should be called. But they came out and partnered with Lego. And I thought it would be fun, to do this with our 9-year-old son, to get the World Cup trophy, put together the Lego trophy. And, so my spouse says, "You're going to have that in 10 years? And I thought, okay, I see where you're going with that question. And it's a really good question. The answer is no. And guess what? I probably won't spend over $100 on this FIFA Lego set now, which could have brought joy to me.
it's a bonding activity for you and Sam.
So you're telling me it's okay?
Yeah. And he's going to put it on the shelf in his bedroom for at least a year or two.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like my spouse needs to listen to this episode, and I appreciate you ladies for
We
being on
support
my
you.
side.
Yes. Leak that 100.
Yeah. And then I think another trap you can avoid is going to, Target or the Walmart Supercenter without a list of what you intend to buy. Just the other weekend, and I have the best of intentions. I mean, Arrin hates the word budget. I am a budgeter through
That's
and
what I love
through.
about us, though. To each their own.
I know every dollar that I spend, and I look at my accounts way too often. But I went to a Walmart Superstar. You typically don't enjoy Walmart very much in general, but I went to the Supercenter because there were a few miscellaneous items, coffee creamer, even though I had banned myself previously. Right? I'm back on it. And, socks or just a bunch of miscellaneous things that I thought this Walmart Supercenter is going to have all of that.
It's the one store that has everything on your random list, right?
Yeah. And then, Christmas lights is what I thought, okay, there's going to be some really cheap, the net lights you can throw on the bush.
Oh, I love those.
And they might be $10 at Super Walmart, or a Walmart Supercenter. And it's funny because my son and I went Sunday evening, and I had every intention of spending about $40. And before I knew it, I came out of the store and it was a lot more than that.
How much
And
more, Blaire?
I'm not going to
200.
say.
Blaire.
I'm not going to say because I was not happy. But
With
I
yourself.
saw these little shoes for my 10-month-olds that now we're being told, hey, they need shoes. You gotta put shoes on them. They're learning how to walk. And so I'm like, oh, those shoes. I'm going to buy those shoes. So things just start adding up, and so it is avoiding those traps and going in with a lot more intentionality around it, and maybe even a list. Because I came out with a lot of things, and I did not come out with Christmas lights that I could throw over the bush. And when I got home, I'm just thinking, oh,
I gotta go back.
that's why I don't go to Walmart.
Uh-huh.
That's why I don't go to Target. And when I go to Target, I create an online order and pick it up so that I can avoid that trap. And that's me. Other people may have a lot more discipline, but that's how the stores are set up.
Exactly.
They
They're
are.
set up
They're
for
so
that.
smart.
I am very proud of you for allowing yourself the joy of coffee creamer again.
Me too.
So, brava to you.
I went for about a month without. But,
A whole month?
Wow.
But then I saw 0, hey, oh, that's not so bad.
Mhm.
Only 20 calories. So I can do that.
Today wasn't about perfection. It was about noticing where your money quietly slips away and choosing one place to close that gap. Tiny, repeatable changes are what build real wealth and the freedom that affords. On our next show, we're diving into one of the biggest tools many women already have, but don't fully understand, your 401k. We'll unpack what those boxes and options mean, why your employer match matters, and how to make decisions that support the life you want, not just the default settings. If you've ever stared at your benefits form and thought, please just don't let me screw this up, this episode is for you. If this conversation helped you see your money a little more clearly, we'd love for you to share it with someone you care about. You don't have to fix everything at once. Just pick up one leak, one habit, one decision. We'll be right here walking it with you. Until next time, we are stoic, we are steady, we are
Augusta.
Nailed that one.